This morning, the government is partially shut down after Congress failed to approve DHS spending.
Plus, closer to home, it's going to be a beautiful weekend outside. I'll talk about the forecast coming up.
And we have an update this morning to the Iowa County homicide, what police are saying. Well, good Saturday morning. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Michelle Renee Quinn.
And I'm Jacob Madison. You're watching Weekend Mornings, of course, on February 14th, as we mentioned, Valentine's Day. But it's not necessarily going to feel like Valentine's Day outside. And I say that in a good way because typically, February, it's a little bit colder around here, but not necessarily today.
I remember there was one Valentine's Day, it was absolutely freezing, and with the temperatures on your screen right now, I am getting excited.
Yeah, and these are the coldest temperatures, these are the coldest the temperatures will be all day. 25 in Madison, how about still 35 in Monroe? And we're getting to the point in the day where these temperatures are starting to rise. And the fact that they're as I'm not gonna say these are warm or mild, but the fact that they are well above average for this time of year is a good sign for the rest of the day. And looking at the current radar, not seeing anything, and we're not going to see anything really all weekend. So here's a look at today's forecast. Hard to get better than this for this time of the year. Plenty of sunshine, highs in the lower 50s, calm winds. You folks in La Crosse will have a very similar forecast. And I'll talk more in detail about even more nice weather for the rest of the weekend coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Jacob. We'll be checking in shortly. At the top of the hour this morning, a partial government shutdown has hit the Department of Homeland Security. All other federal agencies have funding through September, but nearly all DHS workers will remain on the job. That's with many working without pay until the lapse ends. And the public probably won't notice much of a change. Democrats say they will block any new DHS funding until immigration enforcement policies are overhauled. The standoff comes as the federal immigration surge in Minnesota is being concluded. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin warns the Minnesota pullback doesn't mean federal deployments will stop elsewhere. Here's a live look at the Capitol now facing intense scrutiny about how the released Epstein files have been handled. Democrats are calling on Attorney General Pam Bondi to stop the Justice Department from tracking lawmakers as they review sensitive Jeffrey Epstein files. House Speaker Mike Johnson weighed in, saying that lawmakers have the right to review the documents without being tracked. Democrats have given Bondi until February 20th to respond to their demands. And in continuing coverage on a homicide in Iowa County, right now a suspect is in custody after the sheriff's office canceled a press conference when they were supposed to have one early yesterday. That's due to ongoing evidence processing and pending results of the autopsy. Here's what we know. Officers responded to a home on Collins Street in Ridgeway Thursday morning for a welfare check. When they arrived, they found a man dead in a home. This man has been identified as 62-year-old Todd Neckash of Ridgeway, the homeowner. Right now, he is in custody, or the suspect is in custody, and there is no danger to the public. And it's been a busy night for investigators in Arizona as it is approaching 2 weeks since the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie was taken from her home in the middle of the night. CBS News' Christian Benavides reports with the latest on the search.
Officers used a yellow tarp to cover the back of a Range Rover SUV that was being searched by FBI agents in Tucson, Arizona. The vehicle was parked near where investigators responded to a home in connection to the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Multiple law enforcement agencies responded, including forensics and a SWAT team. A sheriff's deputy shut down the road. Both scenes are just minutes from the Guthrie residence. Initially, the sheriff said more details were coming in a written statement, but later on, in a post on social media, the sheriff wrote, "Because this is a joint investigation at the request of the FBI, no additional information is currently available." Earlier in the day, Pima County Sheriff Chris Danos spoke to CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti.
There has been no sign of life.
Does she have that kind of...
But I'm going to tell you, too, there's been no sign of death.
The FBI describes the male suspect as 5'9" to 5'10" tall, with an average build, and wearing a black Ozark Trail hiker backpack, like the one shown in these photos. The backpack is sold exclusively at Walmart. Sources with knowledge say law enforcement officials reviewed video at this Walmart location in Tucson.
I think that suspect should be afraid every night. We're going to find you.
The sheriff denied reports his department was withholding evidence from the FBI by using a contracted lab in Florida instead of the FBI lab.
Why not lean on Quantico and their lab?
It adds a step that's not needed. I have a lab that has taken on this evidence, and they have that.
You're saying consistency.
Consistency.
Does that consistency
Why would
slow
I-
this down in any way? Instead
No,
of
it
using
actually
Quantico?
helps it.
Meanwhile, Tucson residents are placing yellow ribbons and flowers around the Catalina foothills, hoping for Guthrie's safe return. Cristian Benavides, CBS News.
Officials have not confirmed if anyone is in custody or currently being questioned. The FBI said it has received over 13,000 tips so far in this case. Now here are Friday's closing numbers on Wall Street. The Dow up 49, the Nasdaq falls 50, the S&P 500 adds about 3.5. The National Retail Federation expects Americans will spend $29 billion for Valentine's Day today. That's a record amount. The annual survey reveals shoppers are budgeting nearly $200 for gifts. That includes gifts for romantic partners, children's classmates, and even pets. Candy remains the most popular Valentine's Day gift, followed by flowers, cards, a night out, and jewelry. And this Valentine's Day, Madison's first mobile romance bookstore will make its debut. From 3 to 7 today, you can visit Wonderlust Bookstore at Giant Jones Brewing. A Madison physician and a programmer spent months converting an old school bus into a browsable bookstore, and this is available for anyone to visit. Now to a special consumer report this morning, we're spotlighting a competition challenging students on their knowledge of consumer protections. This weekend, high schools across the state competed at Wisconsin Varsity Life Smarts competition. It took place Friday, testing consumer knowledge of high schoolers. Similar to a quiz bowl, 2 teams compete to answer consumer questions. That's posed by the quizmaster. The first to buzz in with the correct answer gets the points. Consumer topics range from personal finance, consumer rights, health and safety, and workforce, to name a few. Now, the state coordinator says this competition creates better prepared adults.
Well, we want them to watch out for possible frauds that happen with technology. Credit card fraud is huge, so we want them to start to watch for those things. So we just want the kids to be more informed so they can make better decisions when they get out on their own.
The first place winners hail from Oconto High School, each receiving $2,500 scholarships and heading to Orlando in April. In second place was Muskego, on your screen now. Great job to everyone who competed. And this morning, people throughout Madison continue to mourn a reverend and local entrepreneur. Larry Jackson died last week at 71 after health complications. On Madison's south side, many knew Reverend Jackson as the street doctor. His family says he earned that title because he always seemed to know what his community needed. When he wasn't preaching, he was building a legacy through business. He owned homes on Madison's south side, founded the local restaurant Natty's, and led the True Worshipers Community Church.
Uncle Larry was one of the first black men that owned property on the picture on Fisher Street and then on the south side. And seeing at those times when I was growing up, seeing somebody, especially our color, owning something, you know, that just changes the way you think about somebody.
Reverend Jackson broke glass ceilings with his entrepreneurship, showing black residents they could have ownership in their own neighborhoods. A funeral service for Reverend Jackson will be held Friday, February 20th at Mount Zion Church. And congratulations, you made it to Saturday. Josh Breiter has the weekend planner for your family in the 608.
This weekend marks the halfway point of February. Here are my 3 things to do this weekend in the 608. A long-running Cambridge tradition returns Saturday. The 21st annual Dip for Dozer takes place at Lake Ripley Park. Participants will plunge into the lake to raise money for the Dozer 52 football scholarship, honoring Dustin Dozer Zulsdorf. Since 2004, the scholarship has awarded more than $250,000 to over 90 Cambridge students. Organizers say the event brings the community together, with all proceeds staying local to support graduating seniors. The fun starts at 11:30. Here's something fun for the kids. Infinity Martial Arts is hosting a free winter festival on Saturday. Their Middleton location is open from 10 to noon, and their Fitchburg one from 1:30 to 3:30. Families can enjoy games, winter-themed activity stations, and mini martial arts classes led by professional coaches. Kids can also earn raffle tickets for a chance to win prizes. The events are open to the community. Registration is encouraged through Facebook or over the phone. On Sunday, there's an opportunity to get outside for a winter walk at Pope Farm Conservancy in Middleton. At 1 p.m., you can join the Friends group on a leisurely 2-mile trek through the trails. Organizers will meet in the parking lot at Pope Farm Elementary School before heading into the Conservancy to take in the season's natural beauty. The event is family-friendly, free, and open to the public. For more happenings this weekend in the 608, go to channel3000.com. In the 608, I'm Josh Brighter.
Thanks, Josh. And now to your morning motivational quote today from Oprah Winfrey. That is on your screen now, and we're back after the break with the scams that you need to be looking out for ahead in your consumer news.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. Valentine's Day is when scammers use a special type of con that leaves victims with a broken heart and drained bank account. AARP says adults aged 50 to 64 are especially at risk of being targeted. And the FBI says seniors are often targeted because they tend to be more trusting and polite. In 2020, financial losses from reported romance scams were $600 million. But in 2024, those losses jumped to $2.4 billion, according to the Federal Trade Commission. And experts say that those numbers are likely higher because so many people don't report that they've been a victim.
Create this trusting bond with this person, and once that they know that you trust them, they're going to start asking you for money.
The FBI says be cautious if the person you're talking to online wants to quickly leave the dating app or social media site to communicate directly, or if the person makes excuses to not meet in person. And as always, you should never send money to someone you have only communicated with online or by phone. And if you're looking for a good movie to snuggle up to this Valentine's weekend, our director Nina is a movie lover herself and suggesting a couple things today. First is 2025's Love Hurts, streaming on Amazon Prime, a fun action movie from the people who brought you John Wick. Second is a classic Casablanca, streaming on HBO Max, a bittersweet romantic movie with so many memorable quotes. And lastly, for the whole family, Nina recommends Hayao Miyazaki's Howl's Moving Castle. That's also on HBO Max, a beautifully animated film with romance, friendship, and self-love. You see you and the wife watching any of these today?
Maybe, but I do have to say, for those of you that haven't seen Casablanca, go watch it, please.
Yeah?
Great classic movie. It's my dad's favorite movie of all time, so shout out Dad on Valentine's Day, ironically. But yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
All right, well, there we go. And if you're not watching a movie today, it's also perfect weather to be outside.
Exactly. Let's take a look at the 3 things you need to know. Very mild this weekend. Then the temperatures are going to get even milder for Monday, where we could be breaking some record highs. And then we're not going to see any rain until we get towards the middle of next week, where the rain chances do increase. And there are several chances of rain next week, but that's going to be a few days away. Today, plenty of sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover for far southern Wisconsin, but highs in the middle to lower 50s, maybe some upper 40s for some. Tomorrow, a very similar forecast, even more sunshine is expected with highs once again in the middle to lower 50s. Then as we get towards Monday, we're going to see similar conditions, but temperatures will get a little bit warmer with highs possibly approaching 60, and the record high for Monday is 57. So we could be talking about very unseasonably mild conditions. Now, as we take a look at our next chance of rain, I'm going to start Tuesday morning because until then, there's almost no chance of rain. But we are going to see some showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm move through the area Tuesday evening with this low pressure system. Continuing to see the chance of rain Wednesday night or Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then as we get towards Wednesday night, that initial system looks to finally clear out of the region, although northern Wisconsin will still see some precipitation during that time. Then we have the second system move through, and although the first system is almost certainly only going to bring rain because the temperature is being warm, the temperatures will cool down a little bit once we get to Thursday, and that will cause a little bit of a rain-snow mix for our area, with northern counties possibly seeing snow, southern counties possibly seeing rain. And then as we get towards Friday, with the temperatures cool, if we do see any precipitation, we will likely see it in the form of snow, with more consistent snow in northern Wisconsin where some accumulation is expected. However, a lot can still change between now and then, but to recap those precip chances, very dry until later in the day Tuesday, but especially Tuesday night is when it will move through, and that will last into Wednesday. Wednesday night looks to be kind of a break between those two systems, and the second system moves in, but that second system, as I mentioned, will kind of be a little bit of a rain-snow mix rather than all rain, which is what's expected Tuesday night and Wednesday.
All right, thank you, Jacob. I am looking forward to today and tomorrow's 50s. In more consumer news for those filing their taxes, if you're one of the millions of Americans who bought a new car last year, you could benefit from a new tax break. Now, exact savings do depend on your income and the size of your auto loan. The tax provision applies only to new vehicle purchase, allowing taxpayers to claim up to $10,000 a year on interest paid on loans. Eligible cars must have final assembly in the U.S., and you can find the assembly plant of your car by searching the VIN on the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's website. Cox Automotive chief economist estimates the typical eligible car buyer could claim around a $4,000 deduction. And when it comes to restriction income limits for single taxpayers, that's at $100,000, double for married couples. And for those with income higher than the limits, the write-off amount is reduced by $200 for each $1,000 above the limit. Only vehicles bought primarily for personal use qualify. And this new deduction will be available for new vehicles purchased between January 2025 and December 31st, 2028. But after 2028, the tax break is set to expire. Still ahead on Weekend Mornings, Jacob returns with more on your Valentine's Day forecast. Plus, we're learning about the future of nuclear energy in Wisconsin. Stick with us. We'll be back after the break.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. I'm out here on the patio. Definitely a pretty comfortable morning. You can still feel that morning chill, obviously, but kind of feels more like a March, early April morning rather than February morning. Now, obviously, it is Valentine's Day. Here's a look at the almanac for Valentine's Day. The average high is 30, but we're going to be closer to that record high of 55. Now, we're probably not going to get to that level, but looking at the forecast throughout the day, we're going to see those high temperatures getting near around 52, 53 degrees with calm winds and plenty of sunshine, and tomorrow will be just as nice. So if you can, I definitely encourage everyone to get out and enjoy the weather. Now, we're still going to see some mild temperatures for Monday, Tuesday, but once we see that rain come through, looks like we'll see those cooler temperatures by the end of the 10-day forecast for next weekend.
Absolutely, and 52 looks really good today. Thanks, Jacob.
Absolutely.
We'll be checking in shortly. U.S. energy companies produced a record amount of energy in 2024. The U.S. Energy Information Administration says natural gas, oil, and renewables set new highs. And as demand increases, so does the impact on the environment. In 2019, Governor Evers issued an executive order for Wisconsin to achieve a carbon-free electricity grid by 2050. Experts say that means embracing nuclear energy, something much easier said than done. Ken Kazirowski reports.
The future of nuclear power is clouded by uncertainty.
3 Mile Island, Chernobyl. The dangers of nuclear facilities are etched in history. But success stories in the industry outweigh those accidents.
A great source for carbon-free energy, and it runs 24/7.
Right now in America, 53 nuclear plants generate 18% of the nation's electricity, and the White House would love to see that number grow.
The Trump administration believes that nuclear capacity could get up to 400 gigawatts by 2050.
Reaching that goal would mean quadrupling the nation's current nuclear fleet.
They take a long time to build, they can be expensive, but their benefit is also a lot longer lived.
A nuclear plant in western Wisconsin isn't a new idea.
About 2 decades, we operated a small boiling water reactor.
From 1967 to 1987, Dairyland Power Cooperative oversaw a plant in Genoa that could power just about 50,000 homes. It shut down because it wasn't economically viable. So what does nuclear in Wisconsin really look like? Well, the only functioning nuclear power plant in the state of Wisconsin right now is right behind me, the Point Beach nuclear facility in Two Rivers, Wisconsin, near the Green Bay area. And we have been invited for an inside look at the plant by its operator, NextEra Energy. Thad Edmonds oversees 2 nuclear reactors on the 1,000-acre site next to Lake Michigan.
1 in every 7 homeowners this morning, when they turned on their lights, were utilizing the power that Point Beach produces.
That covers 15% of the state's electricity needs, using 350 billion gallons of Lake Michigan water just last year.
That water is circulated through a steam generator that has a secondary side cooling water going through it. That water's heated up, that steam generator produces steam.
And it turns these turbines to produce carbon-free electricity 24/7. and no radioactive material going back into the lake.
We actually put the water back in the lake better than it was when we took it out. So we have a strict monitoring plan for all the water that's used.
Strict plans are the name of the game on nuclear sites. It's here in this replica of the site's control room where Point Beach employees spend more than a year training before they can operate the real thing.
We're going through different events, running procedures. Once we get our license, every 6 weeks we're back in here.
Land and water demands mean a plant like this couldn't just pop up anywhere. But what could expand nuclear's geographic footprint are small modular reactors, or SMRs, scalable for a community's needs and significantly cheaper.
As we go through these retiring coal sites, SMRs are a really good match up to those communities to be able to use a lot of the infrastructure that's in place.
That could be the entry point for Dairyland, which retired its Genoa coal plant in 2021, right next to where their first nuclear reactor stood.
I believe there's going to be a small modular reactor producing energy around 2035.
While SMRs are tested, Wisconsin lawmakers are already taking action. Last summer, the state passed a law directing the Public Service Commission to conduct a study on where nuclear sites could go. That study is still underway, but it's possible Dairyland's old Genoa site could make that list.
It'd be great to see a small modular reactor completed on time, on budget. Then I think we're off to the races.
A plant would still cost billions of dollars, so the legislature has a bill offering tax credits for nuclear sites starting in 2030. It has passed the Assembly with almost full support and awaits a Senate vote. So while a nuclear plant won't set up shop tomorrow, Point Beach may not be alone much longer.
It definitely is misunderstood by a lot of people. I think that people are beginning to learn and educate themselves on how reliable nuclear is and how great it is for the environment, and I think we're here to stay.
Just this week, plans are moving forward to bring a new nuclear site to the partly decommissioned Kewaunee Power Station, just a few miles up the road from Point Beach. The head of the company behind the Kewaunee site says new nuclear generation in Wisconsin is essential. Now, before we head to break, here's a look at last night's winning numbers. Stick with us. You're watching Weekend Mornings. Right now, the government is partially shut down after Congress failed to approve DHS spending.
Plus, closer to home, it's going to be a picture-perfect forecast this weekend. I'll talk more about it coming up.
And later, we spotlight an artist that is putting Black history on display with his paintbrush. Hello, good morning. Happy Valentine's Day, and thanks for waking up with us. You're watching Weekend Mornings. Topping our news this morning, a partial government shutdown has hit the Department of Homeland Security. All other federal agencies have funding through September, but nearly all DHS workers will remain on the job, with many working without pay until the lapse ends. And the public probably won't notice much of a change. Democrats say they will block any new DHS funding until immigration enforcement policies are overhauled. The standoff comes as the federal immigration surge in Minnesota is being concluded. Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin warns the Minnesota pullback doesn't mean federal deployments will stop elsewhere. Now, let's send it over to Jacob Montesano with a look at our first warn forecast. It's Valentine's Day, and it is feeling a little bit warmer than usual.
Yeah, temperatures right now are on the cooler side, but once we get towards those afternoon hours, it's going to feel like spring out there. Right now, we're in the 20s for most of the area, but some locations have been in the 30s all morning. Now, as we look at the almanac for today, average high is 30, and we're going to be closer to the record high of 55 than that average. The forecasted high for today will be around 52 degrees. Now, looking outside right now, we are seeing a little bit of cloud cover out there, but we are expecting a good amount of sunshine, especially for areas off to the north. But Madison will still see a mix of clouds and sun, but still going to see those mild temperatures with very calm winds on top of it. But as I mentioned, areas to the north will see a little bit more sunshine. So you folks in La Crosse, you can expect a little bit more of that. But again, everyone going to see the very mild temperatures, and that will continue tomorrow. But I will talk a little bit more about when we're expecting rain to return. So I'll have the details on that coming up a bit later.
Well, we're sending our love to Mother Nature today. Thanks, Jacob. The February primary is coming up on Tuesday, and yesterday marked the final day to register at an absentee voting location before the election. You can, however, register at the polls on Tuesday before you vote. You'll need to show an ID to receive an absentee ballot. Now, ahead of Election Day, News 3 Now sent out questionnaires to the candidates. You can find the responses from candidates for the Dane County Board online at channel3000.com. Just go to News, then Elections to find the stories. And we've all heard the saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. But for a Madison artist, a picture represents 1,000 voices. Our Tanisha Shaw talked to an artist that is putting Black history on display with his paintbrush.
A lot of them are in field settings because I see open fields as freedom to roam and explore.
This is Jerry Jordan. He's an artist that uses his paintings to remember Black history and to embrace representation.
You actually have Black people with real Black noses and lips, and the different colors of different complexions are shown.
Jordan graduated from UW Whitewater and now works for UW Madison, where he is an academic advisor. Art is a priority for him.
Even when I'm off on Saturdays, getting up at 4 or 5 to work shows determination.
His love for art started as a kid, but he didn't have a lot of role models.
Except for JJ on Good Times when he was painting. But that was it.
That's until college, when he learned about the Harlem Renaissance.
I learned about Augustus Savage and James Weldon Johnson, James Porter, these famous painters and sculptors of the Harlem Renaissance. And that was, I looked at this and told myself, okay, I can do this.
Now he challenges negative stereotypes.
I want to show that Black men are not necessarily absent from the home.
And shows that the glass ceiling will eventually break, one paint stroke at a time.
We can do things outside of athletics and entertainment. I know people actually have done these things, but you just don't see us represented. And so that's what I want in my paintings.
The same way the trailblazers from the 1920s and 30s inspired Jordan, he hopes to inspire others through his artwork.
Artwork inspires people to be their better selves, their best selves.
While Jordan admits he's not a master of his craft yet,
but I'm working at that.
He has successfully inspired others through his artwork.
A student came up to me and was telling me how she has gone out of her way every day to walk through the Union, to go through the gallery and look at the paintings. She almost came to tears, and I almost came to tears. It was just a really cool moment. And she said, I've inspired her to really pursue art because she thought it was something silly. She wanted to be an artist, but everybody else was telling her, don't do that. It's silly, it's a waste of time. I inspired her to pursue it.
Reporting in Madison, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. Now to another scam warning, and your consumer report today is specifically targeting La Crosse residents. Police say this involves fraudsters impersonating priests and pastors. So far, 2 people have fallen victim, losing $2,300. And the scam calls aren't slowing down. Here's how it works.
People will go on to the websites, find church information, find out pastor names and information. I believe in this situation, he called and said, hey, I'm the pastor with the church, looking to buy gift cards for the underprivileged. Can you help me out and go out and buy these for me?
Once someone buys the card, the scammer then asks for a photo of the gift card or to be given the information over the phone. If you receive these calls, report them to the La Crosse Police Department or the FTC. Now to our Time for Kids, a Recipe for Health campaign, continuing with this week's tip of the week. Just say no to cigarettes, tobacco, and vaping. Aren't just bad for your lungs, but smoking and vaping can seriously harm your heart too. Dr. Bruce Hahn, pediatric cardiologist at SSM Health, says the chemicals in cigarettes and vaping products enter your bloodstream, making blood thicker and inflaming blood vessels. He says over time, that can lead to plaque buildup in your arteries, making it harder for your heart to pump oxygen throughout the body, causing long-term damage.
Just having a authentic and deep connection, just trying to chat honestly with teenagers and about the risks. And a lot of it is leading by example. So we do see a lot of parents who smoke, their children also smoke. And so when their children see that the parents are trying to quit and know themselves that it is bad for their bodies and it's bad for their future, they're more likely to also not start or quit at the same time.
And the good news, Dr. Hahn says it's never too late to quit. He says stopping smoking or vaping can improve cardiovascular health and reduce secondhand exposure to family members. Now, if you or someone you know needs help quitting, you can call the Wisconsin Quit line at 800-QUIT-NOW or text READY to 34191 to live vape free. Text vape free to 873373. Now to the mental health toll of academic pressure on teens. That pressure on teens to do well in school is linked to depression and self-harm. A University College London study finds that academic pressure at the age of 15 can even lead to depression in adulthood. Researchers say reducing pressure both in school and at home could help improve the mental health of teenagers. Coming up on Weekend Mornings, we're talking Valentine's Day gift prices and hear from local chocolatiers. Plus, Jacob returns with your V-Day forecast on the patio, showing us a look outside our weather window when we come back. It's Weekend Mornings. Keep it here.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. In consumer news, if you feel like Valentine celebrations have become unaffordable, you're not alone. A Wallet Hub study finds 2 in 5 Americans believe it's just unaffordable this year. 82% say Valentine's Day is just a trick to get people to spend money, and 30% say their relationship is a strain on their finances. 48% say they won't marry someone who can't budget or has a bad credit score. And speaking of Valentine's Day, millions of romantic bouquets come from a cargo warehouse in South Florida. Agricultural specialist at Miami Airport processes about 990 million stems of cut flowers. 90% of the flowers sold for Valentine's Day come through Miami. And it's an extremely busy time for florists and chocolatiers as the holiday weekend brings in substantially more customers than any other week in the year. Around Madison, flower and chocolate shops prepared for the chaotic schedule by being ready weeks in advance. However, recent tariffs imposed by the U.S. have caused pricing changes to both flowers and cocoa from certain countries, now having an effect on shops and customers during some of these busy days. Although there have been price races, Infusion Chocolates has seen no impact on sales as people have understood why the costs increased.
We saw about a between 20 and 40% price increase in July of last year. So that obviously affected our prices. We had to raise prices for the first time in September. We get our boxes from overseas, not something we can buy here in the States. And so we had to move from China to a new country, and so we're out of our 4-piece boxes.
Local shop owners also share that it is true yesterday and today are 2 of the busiest days of the year for them. Let's check in now with meteorologist Jacob Montesano live from outside on our patio. Hey Jacob, how's it feeling out there?
Well, it's feeling, a little chilly, but it certainly feels a little bit more like a March morning rather than a February morning. You can kind of sense that today is not necessarily going to feel too much like winter throughout the day. Now, as I look up, we are still seeing a mix of clouds and sun, but for the most part, we're going to see a decent amount of sunshine today. Now, what we are going to see this weekend, at least at times, will be some patchy fog. Nothing too hazardous, but visibility could drop down to a quarter of a mile later tonight into tomorrow morning. Kind of a similar situation for parts of the area Monday morning and then again for Tuesday morning. And that's really a product of this big warm-up. And you could see that warm-up firsthand based on the last 14 days. We had highs in the 20s to start the month, and now highs are in the 50s. So very mild temperatures. They're going to continue for the next several days, although we will be cooler once we see that rainfall by the middle of the week. And I'll talk more detail about that chance of rain coming up a bit later.
All right, and we'll be checking in shortly. Thanks, Jacob. And now we send it to Kyrion Lee with a special recipe you might want to try for your loved one this Valentine's Day.
It's Valentine's Day weekend, and if you're looking for a way to wow your sweetheart, we've got you covered. Joining me now is Madison Magazine's 2025 Chef of the Year, Chef Evan Daniels of Cadre Restaurant. He's sharing one of his dessert recipes, and the best part, you can make it right at home. Chef Evan, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So first things first, what are we making today?
So we're going to be making kind of an easy single-serving version of a mascarpone cheesecake. The first thing you do, set your oven to 350 degrees, melt some butter and mix some sugar into it. Take a graham cracker, toss it in there. We're making our crust, which is going to go on top. Just knead it together with your hands, spread it out on a baking pan, cookie pan, something with parchment usually, and then pop that in your 350-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes while it toasts. We're highlighting with this one Crave Brothers chocolate mascarpone, which is a seriously, very few people have heard of this. You can get it at most stores here in Madison. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and that's what's going to flavor this cheesecake. Leave this stuff out on your counter for a few hours, or even overnight, really, if you want to make sure it's room temperature, or this is going to be a whole lot harder. First, you take your mascarpone, just the sweet, regular mascarpone.
Okay.
Then, goat cheese.
Goat cheese.
Yep.
Okay.
In equal proportions. Crack 4 eggs into it. Add your sugar.
Okay.
Notice it's quite a bit of sugar.
I'll say, how much sugar are we adding here?
It's a cup and a half.
A cup and a half of
But this
sugar.
is enough to make probably 8 of these cups. This is what's known as creaming sugar.
Okay.
Which is, so you just keep doing this until you can't see any of the grains of sugar. Once you have your sugar creamed in, then add your chocolate mascarpone at the end. Feel free to use a graduated pitcher to pour this with.
Okay.
We don't have one, so we're gonna do this chef style.
All right.
And you just pour that right in, give it a couple pounds to smooth it out, and then you'll fill all 6 of these.
Okay.
Throw them in your oven at 300 degrees, no convection, if possible, for about 18 minutes until when you start to give it a jiggle, it only jiggles just a tiny little bit in the center, and then let it sit out for 15, 20 minutes, and you're ready to eat as soon as you'd like. And I brought a spoon.
Oh. That's good. We'll share this full recipe on channel3000.com.
And now to your Valentine's Day playlist pick from Nissa. You're listening to My Girl. You guys may have heard this one before, an absolute classic by The Temptations. Feel free to create a weekend playlist pick with us by sending me a song with the subject playlist pick to Mr. Quinn at WISC-TV.com and tune in on weekend mornings to hear your song. We're back after the break with your morning sports fix on weekend mornings.
If you're a top 10 team, playing Wisconsin men's hoops has been a horror story this season. In case you needed any further proof, 10th ranked Michigan State entered a house of horrors last night called the Kohl Center, and the better Nick Boyd has played this year, the better Bucky has been. This one brought the house down. Nick Boyd puts Jordan Scott on skates. Step back, you betcha. What an ankle breaker from Boyd, who was just getting started in the first half. And he hits another triple, because why not? He'd scored 20 in the first half alone and finish with 29 total, helping the Badgers send another top 10 team packing. What a week for Wisconsin, who blows out Michigan State 92-71. And for the first time since 1951, Wisconsin beats 3 top 10 teams in one season. That's your morning sports fix. Have a very, very great Valentine's Day.
Thank you, Andrew. Here's a look at the 3 things you need to know. Very mild conditions this weekend, then even warmer for Monday, where we could be talking about record highs. But right now, I do want to talk about our next chance of rain. So I'm going to start with Tuesday morning, because until then, there's pretty much no chance of rain. But as we take a look at Tuesday, we'll see more clouds that day with a chance of some showers, maybe even a few isolated thunderstorms Tuesday evening and early Tuesday night. And this first system will mostly bring rain to our area, but it could last into Wednesday. And especially for areas in northern Wisconsin, that system will bring in lingering precipitation and then transition to snow. But southern Wisconsin, not expect to see too much precipitation for the Wednesday night time frame. But as we get into Thursday, a second system will move through the area, and temperatures will be a little bit colder at this point. So the rain snow line will be a lot further south and across our area, with northern counties possibly seeing a little bit more snow than southern counties. But then that system, similar to the first one, will linger just a little bit. And once we get to Friday, Friday, when temperatures are cool enough for it to only be snow, we could be talking about some snow on the back end of it. So here's a look at sort of recapping all of those precipitation chances. The best chance will be Tuesday night, where we do see that rainfall, but for the most part, there will be a chance of rain from Tuesday night through early Friday, with a little bit of a break Wednesday night. So looking at the 10-day forecast, we also are going to see some cooler temperatures after the system, actually I should say systems, plural, because we could be seeing two of them, with highs back in the 30s towards the end of next week and early the following week. But until then, we got about 3 days of plenty of sun, a lot of sunshine, and highs in the 50s. So let's just enjoy it while it's here.
I know I will. Thanks, Jacob. Still ahead on weekend mornings, you can prepare this weekend for the growing season. How is ahead.
You're watching News 3 Now this morning. Moving forward.
Welcome back. The Garden and Green Living Expo is underway at the Alliant Energy Center now in Madison. For more than 30 years, the community event has celebrated the joy of caring for plants and the environment with education and shopping opportunities. Now, this is all in preparation for the upcoming growing season.
This is a really good way to get a lot of people who love gardening, and they have stories to share, they have questions to ask, they need information, can be all in one place.
The expo runs throughout this weekend. The hours for today are 9 to 6, and Sunday the expo is open from 11 to 4. And your morning motivational quote today is from Oprah Winfrey. She says, every time you state what you want or believe, you're the first to hear it. It's a message to both you and others about what you think is possible. Don't put a ceiling on yourself. That's on your screen now. Thanks for watching Weekend Mornings. Coming up next is Lucky Dog Reunions. Join us tomorrow morning live from 6:30 to 8. And our next newscast is coming up tonight at 6. Find us streaming always on Channel 3000+.